just for someone who may not know the origin story, you guys came in, did focus groups, looked at different names.
Yes.
And I remember being a part of that process. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you came out with Wind Surge.
Sure.
Were you were over that entire
Yeah, so
thing,
I was
right?
in that entire process.
Yeah.
So that process was just like our construction on the ballpark was a little bit of a rush process due to the fact of the dates and deadlines that we had to do. So, we came in January, did some focus groups. We also did the name the team suggestions. Just want to clarify that was not a contest. The suggestions. And so we started to get feedback, right? And I actually go to a lot of classes, especially I just went to WSU graduate class and explained this process. And so we got about 3,000 name suggestions. And so, you have me, you have Lou, you have a few other individuals from our organization who are definitely not from Wichita. We've seen it a couple times. Lou had been here, obviously, quite more than all of us to get this thing up and running. And one reoccurring theme was always in the name, and it was wind. And so, for me, being from New Orleans, I'm like, well, what is this wind about? And so, as we went to the focus groups, we talked about, the days of the Chisholm Trail, and you talk about the air capital of the world and all those things. But one of the biggest things in the focus group was, yes, those are definitely important to Wichita's past, but some of that stuff may be overplayed. Okay, we've had the Wichita Wind. We've had a couple different names that are associated with that. We've had, obviously, a Wranglers brand that kind of goes back to that point. But, Wichita is a new position. And from those focus groups, they said, Wichita tends to reinvent itself about every 50 years. And so we wanted to figure a way to pay homage to the past, but also recognize where we are in this point in time in the future. And, obviously the Riverfront Stadium is so important to the community, not from a baseball standpoint, but what else it's going to be able to generate and the build that it has done over there. I explain this all the time, before we were able to get in and bring affiliated baseball back to the state of Kansas, there was no affiliated professional baseball. Yes, you had the T-Bones, but they were an independent league. If you wanted to go see a traditional sporting event, and when I say traditional baseball, basketball, football, you had to leave the state to do that. You had to go to OKC for an NBA game. You had to go to Kansas City for an NFL or MLB game. Well, at the same time, where's all that taxpayer money that you're going to these events going? It's not going to the state of Kansas. And so I think that's what's really important about this. And so we're looking at a time and place in history where we're all living it right now where, Wichita as a community, I believe, is the 49th largest city in the country. There's 50 states. It's continuing to get there. We have innovation. We have tech, air capital of the world. We have some of the biggest airline manufacturers in the world. And one thing that kept reoccurring was that we're kind of really surging forward from where we were from 10 years ago.
It's true.
And so we thought, okay, well, how do we pay homage to the past, but how do we recognize this point in the future and kind of describe what the personality is of our brand, right? And so it's very hard. You can't describe wind because there's no physical elements to do that. You could do something. You really can't describe a surge. And so the Pegasus, which is our logo, is the mythological being that harnesses the wind and surges through whatever endeavor. And so that's where we play homage to that past and kind of try to visually connect it together. And, when we were doing this logo concept and name concept, we were working with Todd Radom, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with him, but he's a pretty reputable logo designer. He's not just kind of your run-of-the-mill guy who comes in. He's done all Ice Cube's big three logos for his 3-on-3. He redid the Houston Astros, Washington Nationals logos. So, I mean, he's a big league guy. And I believe right now he's actually promoting some of the old school Negro League lids cap lines. And so he's very involved and he really took us through this process of how to do this. And that's how we came up with, the wind surge and the logos. And then you take the colors, okay? Lou is very traditional in his colors, all right? He came from Pawtucket Red Sox, all right? Scarlet and navy are deeply enrooted in baseball culture regardless. And then you add the accent colors. You take the sky blue that represents the prairie skies. And then you take the gold, which is the wheat, but it's also the sunsets. People don't believe me when I go back to California. The sunset on the beach is awesome, but the sunset here in the Midwest is tops everything, just with those colorways.
Yes,
And I
I
think
don't
that's what we
know.
wanted to depict, so we're all, as a community, we're moving forward with a new vibrancy and determination to make Wichita a must visit destination. And that's how we came up to the synopsis and the kind of the development of the brand.